Hey everybody, we're Andrew and Sarah Miles, the owners of Miles Film Co., and today we're doing another one of our wedding film breakdowns.
During our wedding film breakdowns, we discuss the why behind our films, why we edited a certain way, why we chose particular shots, why we chose certain music, and why we included certain storytelling elements to create the wedding film. Today's wedding film breakdown, we are going to be discussing Jacqueline and Brian Wilder's San Miguel de Allende, Mexico destination wedding. For their wedding, we covered 3 days worth of events. So much thought and energy just went into all of the wedding festivities, and Jacqueline and Brian had the most amazing vendor team, which we'll include in the description of this video.
So let's get going. So I remember going through the ceremony film, and I think I told Sarah, I was like, Sarah, Brian is just saying the sweetest things to Jacqueline the entire time. And that was just a really cool experience because all of the stuff is going on around them. They're in this beautiful church, and it feels like it's just them two, despite everything else going on around them. And so that's what I love about the opening part of this thing, is you know that this is about to be a grand wedding film and things are about to be huge, but you really get to see like what it's tied into, and that's just Jacqueline and Brian.
You know, when Jacqueline wanted to have her wedding here, you know, I kept saying, what's wrong with the Short Club? I'd love to have it at the Short Club in Cape May. But she had no interest in that. She said, I want to have it in San Miguel. So I tried everything to talk her out of it. She finally said, Dad, just go and see it with me. I said, okay, I'll go. I'll go Friday. I'll be back by Sunday night. We'll get this thing out of the way. One of the most romantic, beautiful places I've ever been. And it was truly their special place. Who has a rehearsal dinner at the #1 rooftop bar in the world?
Hello, everyone. This is a very special moment. And I can't believe after a year that we're finally here. It's just everything that Jacqueline dreamed.
This was the best night ever.
Incredible.
It's not even halfway done.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
The intro is just epic, and I think that like we both want to just like talk about it.
I have so much to say about the intro, and so much is packed into the intro. And typically the intros of our films are where I really want to give some sort of artistic, abstract reflection of the wedding, of all the wedding festivities if we filmed multiple days. And so that is where I get kind of where I let loose a little bit. It's not chronological. We show a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, this is a San Miguel de Allende wedding film, so I really wanted to hit hard on that and include the speech where her dad is talking about Jacqueline wanting to get married in San Miguel and how he wasn't so sure about that at first, and obviously his mind changed when he went and visited. Also wanted to comment on the hand-painted or hand-drawn little map of San Miguel de Allende that they gifted their guests with. That was really cool, getting to cut between the drawings of the different locations that were important to Jacqueline's wedding festivities and then cutting to the actual locations themselves.
Yeah, that was one of those things that just fell into place of having such a, and you kind of put that together, and I remember seeing that for the first time and thinking like, that's so cool, because I remember the hand-drawn maps, and yeah, just to see all of the real locations mixed with like the hand-drawn maps is just really cool. Also, Mr. O'Neill's voice just gets you so hyped for the festivities, and so definitely using him, and then ending it with Jacqueline's mom kind of saying like, this has been very much a build up to this moment, and to see it all being put together is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the actual first time that Brian shared Jacqueline with us was in a video. It's winter in Austin, and they just received a very big snowstorm. And Brian and Jacqueline are riding on makeshift snowboards. So here's how the video went. We heard the enthusiastic voice narrating. Coming in for the second jump of the day, we got B. Wilder, straight out of Dallas, Texas.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jacqueline's younger brother, Ryan.
The baby!
Yes, the baby. And I'll just start by saying it was a really special moment to see everyone here, all of Jacqueline's closest friends and family, as she came into the event and everybody cheered. And it was just a really special thing after all the planning. And if anybody deserves this weekend, it's Jacqueline.
I love you guys.
So jumping into sort of the body of this film, we are getting a little bit more chronological here and starting with the pool party. Sort of giving that effect that you are arriving to Jacqueline and Brian's destination wedding weekend, and the first thing you're showing up to is their pool party.
I also love how this section of the film really starts to build on the characters, your couple in the film. To me, like watching this, you start to get some of Jacqueline's like energy and like the excitement that she's put into the wedding weekend. And you hear that from, stories about her and Brian meeting to her brother talking about her. These are some just amazing things to build that character description to kind of get you to know who Jacqueline is as a person.
If we were in any way normal people, we'd say something like, this is an unlikely story about a Dallas Cowboys fan and a Philadelphia Eagles fan who met in South Austin and fell in love over their shared interest of travel, delicious food, and pickleball.
The next part of the wedding film is jumping into their rehearsal dinner, which for the rehearsal dinner, they had an all-white party where everybody dressed in white and Jacqueline dressed in red.
See, the rehearsal dinner happened at an amazing rooftop bar called Quince in San Miguel. And it was extremely beautiful that afternoon. They had some like signature cocktails that were going around. Everybody was having a blast. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is those moments where you have to just like really put on your filmmaking skills and kind of adapt to the moment. During speeches especially, there was a lot of waiting staff coming through. Of course, we were working with photographers. This was a situation where there wasn't an in-house board, so we were figuring out some different ways to run with audio throughout the day to make sure that we captured those speeches. So there was a lot going on, and
not much room for tripods, for light stands, things like that. The rooftop was amazing. It was just very condensed with lots of tables for lots of guests. And so we had to really navigate that in a way that was unobtrusive to everybody's experience.
Right.
Our very first thought was that we could not think of a more apt last name for our sister than Wilder.
After the rehearsal dinner, everybody jumped into vans and taxis and drove back to Casa Churro, where Jacqueline's family was staying, for the welcome party.
It was such a cool experience because we all got to start at the entrance of Casa Churro and walk through down by the pool where we just had the pool party, and then down through the garden area down into like a little garden space. And it was super cool. We have donkeys, we have mariachi bands, we have the puppets. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name of them, the puppets. And it was just such an experience, like getting to walk from the entrance of this house down into the welcome party. And from there, it was a blast. You could tell people were having a great time.
Jacqueline's really been, and you look very beautiful, but I'll say that part. She's been like an older brother to me that I've never had. I remember my freshman year in college, I said, hey, my sister's a junior, she's in Baden, it's an all-girls dorm, but they're having a party. And all the upperclassmen were saying, girls don't have parties. And I said, well, my sister says she's doing 40s at 4.
For now, the film is really just about the journey, just taking you from one place to the next.
Yeah, just really leaning into like, this is the environment, these are the people that are involved. And another thing is just start to notice people, because you're going to be able to see them throughout this entire film, like from literally the pool party until the 2:30 a.m. when we wrapped up the last day. So yeah, paying attention to those sorts of things, building the environment, very important for that intro to the film.
Jacqueline has taken on many roles for us throughout our lives. Partner in crime, roommate, role model, business partner, and best friend. The roles may have changed, but one thing's the same. Jacqueline has always been just a little bit extra.
Oh, that's amazing.
Jacqueline has planned a surprise for her dad where she puts on her mother's wedding dress. This is probably one of my many favorite parts of the film, because obviously we follow them up back to Casa Tro so that she can change, which I feel like we got some really cool shots of those moments, of those transitional moments of them kind of sneaking away from the party to go change. We also typically do not include one of us speaking behind the scenes in the final wedding film, but that kind of shows you just more of that documentary edge to our films. We felt like that moment was super important to include Jacqueline mentioning what was happening, that she was in her mother's wedding dress and that it was a surprise for her dad. And naturally, in that moment, you have the photographer and you have Andrew reacting to that, which was super exciting.
Yeah. And talking about the filmmaking again, it's just super important sometimes to just like take a step back and allow your couple to be in their environment. And I think that the window shots really played into that, because of course we thought this is just a cool moment, we can shoot through the window, that would be, really cool. But also at the same time, it was just giving them some space for a second to go and just be, in the environment, to give you those like transition points in the edit too.
When she was 2, no outfit was complete without a sparkly pair of rain boots, a pocketbook, and a full fur coat. In college, her tailgates were legendary to all of the students and the campus police.
So I just wanted to stop. I love both Jacqueline's mom and her dad's reaction, and like as she comes out there, because clearly her mom's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. But I like how her dad's like dancing when he walks up, and then he realizes, oh, that's my wife's wedding dress. And so just to see his excitement is like really cool.
The inclusion of her sister's speeches about Jacqueline as well provides a lot more context into who Jacqueline is as a person, which is something we really want to build up in the film because she's so unique and incredible.
It's really cool when you have people who say that they basically feel like they knew these people or they didn't know these people at all and they cried watching their video. And I think that it's those things that you're not thinking about, the fact that you're learning who this person is as the edit is going along, that really helps you get invested in wedding films. And so this is just a great example of that.
And if you've ever been invited to one of her dinner parties, you know that they are never a quiet affair, and no day is without celebration. People want to be with Jacqueline, and that works out just fine, because with Jacqueline, everyone is welcome.
Another thing that I have to say about the welcome party portion of this film is that it was just so fun how it all unfolded, because I think originally when I began the editing process, I didn't really intend for it to have as much of its own moment as what it had. Like I thought maybe like I would just show the welcome party over, one of the other songs in the film or something like that. But instead, it almost has its own little reception-like feel in the middle of a wedding film, which we've never done before. So you have this really fun, upbeat song that comes into just the party portion of the welcome party.
Much to our surprise, though, we soon came to realize that Mr. Brian Wilder, from his boots to his last name,
is also just a little bit extra. He would go on to capture our sister's heart in a whirlwind fairy tale courtship.
So I just have to stop and say that Jacqueline's dad walking into the room with that music, for some reason, that's my favorite part of the film. It's just so, like, it feels so magical, and yeah, it's just my favorite part.
It's such a small moment, but it goes back into the documentary side of things. Like this moment, I had actually captured handheld. I saw that he was going in the room. I knew there was going to be some sort of reaction from Jacqueline and her bridesmaids as well as her mom. And so I immediately was like, I need to film this.
Yeah. And this part of the film too, which is what I love, is you had that reception, like part of the welcome party in the film. And then you really like kind of calm down a second and go back into some ambience, some soft music. Really, there's been so much up to this point, and this is just such a great like breather moment. But also, it's like a weird thing because it's like a breather moment, but at the same time, the music causes it to almost have you anticipate that something like magical is like about to happen.
In our family, there's this quirky word association game that was started by our mom. Each of us kids is connected to a word. So Thomas is board games, Derek's army, I think it's safe to say mine's crying, and Brian's baseball. Like Brian is baseball. But Brian's another B word, and it's not the one you're thinking of. Brian is brave. I remember getting a phone call from my brother late in 2020, and he was telling me about this wonderful woman, name unknown at the time, and how much he loved spending time with her. But at one point in the call, he kind of stopped and said, you know, I love spending time with her, but what if I run out of things to say?
You're great. Congratulations. So happy. I love you too.
And, you know, even though I could hear the little bit of fear and anxiousness in my brother's voice, what I really heard him say in that moment is, I never want to stop spending time with this person.
You look beautiful. Stunning. I love you.
But, you know, as we all know, love is not founded on scripted speeches or premeditated talking points. It's created and built on vulnerability, and you have to be brave to be vulnerable. So Brian continued to be brave, and he locked in his perfect match, Jacqueline, and I couldn't be happier for him. And now that Jacqueline is joining the family, she too needs a word. And to me, Jacqueline is sunshine.
Speaking of favorite parts of the film, this is probably my favorite part of the film, where Brian's sister gives a little bit of context to Brian. She starts off by describing Brian by talking about this quirky word association game that her family had growing up. And I just felt like that was super powerful and gave a lot of description of who he is as a person in a very simple way. And then her proceeding to go into Jacqueline and saying, now, you know, Jacqueline is a part of their family and Jacqueline needs a word too, and that's sunshine. And for this moment, we decided to use a particular clip where the sun is sort of like glaring out from behind the building.
And fun fact with that shot, I just have to mention for a second, I actually was fighting with the sun the entire time because we wanted to grab this shot of Jacqueline on the balcony, and the sun was like just barely peeking over the top of the house. And I just remember constantly like moving around trying to get the sun like, you know, not glaring into the camera. And so it's just funny that I can remember that, and we were able to use that almost like, not annoying, but that like fighting with the camera in a way to help tell the story.
Lori and I have always wanted the best for our children. We've always wanted the best for Brian. But what's interesting is, on his own, Brian found Jacqueline. And Jacqueline found Brian. However you find each other, whatever it was, fate, luck, however you wanted to find it, what it is a beautiful thing.
So now we're going into the actual ceremony, so you'll notice the music is picking up a bit. It's getting a little bit more dramatic because this is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, and I actually love Brian kind of looking up as that clip with him and his mom right there, because if you walk into this church, it really is breathtaking. It's kind of like this huge thing, but it feels very symbolic of the moment that's about to happen. Of this is what we've all been waiting for. This is a huge moment, and you're taking everything in right before it happens.
Brian, the way that Jacqueline looks at you and the way that you look at her, it just always melts my heart.
One of my favorite parts about the ceremony is the fact that the sun is like shining through those windows perfectly. It looks heavenly where the bride and groom are standing.
Someone told me it looked like the Kendrick Lamar Humble video when he's standing in that like sanctuary and there's that beam of light coming and then it's like hitting him. Very different, but puts off similar vibes.
So another interesting fact about the ceremony, after they kissed and the ceremony is over and they're about to walk back down the aisle, they had planned for the orchestra to be seated amongst the crowd and to play All You Need Is Love from the Love Actually movie.
You can actually kind of hear some of the love, love, love parts in this section of the film. And that was a choice that I think it was, I don't know if it was accidental or sometimes those things are, it's not, I don't think you were doing it accidental, but there are some times where those happy accidents happen where you're playing a song and you have some B-roll that you left the audio in underneath it and you can kind of hear it together and you're like, oh, that would be sick if I could mesh that together into the soundtrack. And we've done that before, but you did.
Well, this was not an accident because I just feel like that was such a special thing that Jacqueline thought through and wanted to have planned for her ceremony, but at the same time, technically it's a song that we don't have the license to use, but I just wanted to include it faintly in there to sort of take you subconsciously back to that moment while not necessarily having, you know, the song blaring through the film.
We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
So here we have the beginning of Cocktail Hour, and we chose a very dramatic song because this Cocktail Hour reception setup was incredible, like breathtaking, like you couldn't even believe it. And so we had to choose a song that was like very fitting to that. Normally one of my favorite things to do in wedding films is if I have footage of the bride and groom practicing their first dance earlier in the day, I love to kind of include that back to back with the actual first dance. So that's what we've done here, which I think is really sweet and really powerful, and honestly just gives me chills, I think, every time I watch it.
Yeah, another cool thing about this is it's cool to see how I guess the word could be percussive, that editing visually and audio can go together. You hear these big drum hits like throughout the song, and you're seeing champagne pop, and you're seeing confetti go off, and you're seeing, you know, drone shots with cold sparks going up. I mean, that just adds to the epicness of what it actually, I mean, it really was that epic. And so choosing a song like this was maybe a bold choice, but it was one of those things of where it really did like fit all of the elements that happened throughout this moment.
Also, I wanted to talk about the song saying, "It's all happening now." That's very intentional, very on purpose, because I mean, the reception is happening. The grand finale of the wedding festivities is happening now.
And I think this was probably the part of all the events that everyone was looking forward to the most, because the O'Neills know how to throw a party, and I think that this was highly anticipated, and so all of this is just building up to this moment.
One of life's true pleasures is watching two people you care deeply for begin to care deeply for each other, begin to love each other, and enhance in each other those qualities that invited you to love them in the first place. Brian and Jacqueline, you're two of the best people we've had the supreme honor to call family, and you're made even better by one another. We love you both very much. To Brian and Jacqueline.
Cheers to a lifetime of happiness for our favorite couple who are both a little bit extra,
or maybe just a little bit Texas.
Here we have the beginning of what is probably the party of the century. Lots of crazy things happen. It's about to get wilder, and I thought it was perfect to include her sister saying that maybe they're a little bit extra, or maybe they're just a little bit Texas. So that first initial shot of the band is probably one of my other favorite shots from the film. It's just so amazing. And the band, they were incredible. Okay. So the clip accurately reflects the band and their performance.
Yeah, and then saying the whole like Texas comment, we just had to go with the spaghetti western, drum vibe. Like, this is a really cool song that we like stumbled upon, and we're excited to use it for this section.
So of course Jacqueline had to have both a flamethrower girl and an electric violinist, which it was just amazing.
Yeah, and this isn't even like getting into like the real party song yet. Like this is still this is the beginning. This is building up, just creating some tension of like, and showing everything that's like going on.
I came to party. I came to party, party. I came to 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 party.
Jacqueline and Brian's reception, especially about halfway through, really was a party. And so we knew that we had to sort of kind of change up the music vibes a little bit to reflect, them pouring tequila shots into the mouths of their guests and to each other. And so we needed a song that was a party song. And so that's why we kind of changed the music right here.
Yeah.
And with everyone here, I want to share with the couple a life secret that I learned a few years ago. So in time, you learn this secret, that life is about people and caring for people. You learn that love has never been easy, and it's seldom at first sight. You learn that there's a lot left to believe in, and a whole lot more to hope for. And if you're very smart, or maybe just very lucky, you learn that no matter how frustrating and confusing the world becomes, The precious become the permanent, and the permanent is love. The love that you two share, and the love that surrounds you tonight.
How'd we get so lucky?
To end an epic adventure, you have to end it epically.
Just like with their intro, I have about 1 million words that I could say about their outro. I knew when I heard Brian's sister's speech, and that part of her speech, that we were probably going to end the film with that, because it was extremely powerful. I feel like it summarized the importance of love and life and relationships, and was just a perfect way to sort of summarize everything that had just taken place, and really the why behind everything that had just taken place. I thought that was a super effective way to end the film. There was going to have to be a period to the rest of that sentence, which was their wedding film, and I feel like that outro was the period.
So the end of this film, to me, reminds me so much of like a series that you've just finished. I'm thinking Harry Potter, Star Wars, some huge series that people have been invested in.
A series like in the movie theater that leaves you weeping into your popcorn bucket at the end of it.
It has this beautiful song, and you know, all of a sudden Brian's just like, how did we get so lucky? And Jacqueline's like, I don't know. And it really, like you were saying, it puts like a period on this film.
I swear somebody gave Jacqueline and Brian a script to read during their ceremony.
And it finishes up the story that you've just like walked through, and yeah, it's just extremely powerful, and that's what it made me think of. And you're seeing all this beautiful footage from their wedding day.
The older lady that we have walking her dog across the street, and the pigeon or dove or whatever bird that it is flying through the air during this moment. It feels like one of those endings to a film where you do have these sort of side characters that are just in these like grand and magical shots that really just add a lot of character and magic to it.
This city was incredible. It became a huge character in the story. As you can see, like throughout the entire wedding film, and we really just wanted to kind of like tie everything back in together, and like we were wanting to pull at the heartstrings a little bit, I think, because it's like going back to the Harry Potter thing, you know, Hogwarts is one of those very special things, and so you see, you know, parts of it again, like at the end, and it's just, it hits those heartstrings. So
I feel like a lot of anticipated movies and series that end in the movie theaters, a lot of times will have a post-credit scene, and you'll see, you know, people in the theater just kind of sitting there like, I'm not leaving, I'm waiting for the potential post-credit scene. And so other people see, and they're like, well, maybe I'll sit back down and sit my bucket of popcorn down and wait and see what happens. And that's kind of what I wanted this moment to be, because between their rehearsal dinner and their welcome party, like I said earlier, everybody jumped into vans and taxis. We jumped into a van with Jacqueline and Brian and some of their other immediate family and friends, and didn't really have a seat. So we sat in the floorboard of the van, and I just continued to record because Jacqueline and Brian and her friends and family sang songs the entire way from the rehearsal dinner location back to Casa Churro, and that was just such a fun and incredible moment. It was something that I felt like deserved its own place almost in full at the end of the film.
Hey, baby! Ooh! Ah! I wanna know!
So outside of all the epicness, I just want to say that it's really incredible when you get every single person that you love and all of your special people in your life in one place, especially, having a destination wedding, that's great. But having all the people that you love in one place, getting to rewatch their experience of your love, your special day, really those things are priceless. And that is what I love so much about our job, is being able to be observers of the wedding day, being able to record all of those people and places, their experiences in these places, and get to deliver those back to our couples. And so we hope that the epicness and grandness of this was great and it helped relive that, but we were really excited to just get to deliver those people back to Jacqueline and Brian, and is what we love to do for every single one of our weddings. So if you have any questions on this wedding film, please feel free to ask us in the comments. We would love to answer any questions, and we look forward to giving you guys more wedding film breakdowns. So we'll see you soon.
And lastly, we just want to thank Jacqueline and Brian and the O'Neills and Wilders for asking us to be a part of such an incredible weekend.